Power Tracks presents the most powerful sport on earth, the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Power Tracks is brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevy truck.
All right, Bigfoot, the monster truck, the #1 monster truck in the world today. There are 7 Bigfoots, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Chandler, the owner of Bigfoot, is here tonight at the St. Paul Civic Center. Rich Hoosier is doing the driving. Here he comes. Rich Hoosier going up Bigfoot. There he goes. He's coming down. Now he's heading a little mound of dirt. This is really tough on the monster truck. And you can see he got over pretty fast. The time for Bigfoot, 10.37 seconds. Racing is complete, ladies and gentlemen, unless you have the world champion. And that's what the TNT folks have brought in here to the St. Paul Civic Center. It's the one and only Bigfoot. Bigfoot started it all way back in 1973. He's going against Barbarian. Remember, most of the drivers love to beat Bigfoot. Let's see how it turns out. Here we go, Barbarian. Here comes Bigfoot. Look at Bigfoot get up. Rich Hoosier gone over. Here goes Barbarian. It's going to be close. Bigfoot hits the cars. Oh, look at him go. Oh, my word. Crushing the cars, heading for the finish line. I tell you, he picked up a lot of time. You got to wonder if he might have sandbagged the first time through against the Carolina Crusher. Chevy against Ford, ready to do battle. They're lined up. They're ready to drop the flag. Here they go. So Carolina Crusher doing that and Bigfoot wins it, but the Carolina Crusher not far behind.
Bigfoot advances, but not without some stiff competition from the Carolina Crusher.
Bigfoot will move on now. Rich Hoosier doing the driving for Bigfoot. All right, here we go. Gravedigger against Bigfoot. Rich Hoosier against Dennis Anderson. Dennis Anderson with a 1951 Ford. Bigfoot with a 1988 Ford. New against old, but I tell you, Gravedigger's got a supercharged engine in the back of that 1951 Ford panel van. Anything goes. Here comes Bigfoot. They're on it. Look at Gravedigger. Look at Bigfoot. Look at him go. Look at him go.
This one is too close to call. We'll have to wait for Dave to get the official time from the judges.
Are we having fun yet? All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. Listen to this. Bigfoot had a time of 7.93 seconds. Gravedigger had a time of 7.82 seconds. Gravedigger wins it. Rich Hoosier out of St. Louis, Missouri, in a 1988 F-350 Ford with a blown 460 Ford. Everyone knows it as Bigfoot. He started it all back in 1973. Bob Chandler did. They have a four-wheel drive and off-road specialty shop in St. Louis. There are 7 trucks altogether in the Bigfoot stable. And here's one of the best, Rich Hoosier, a top driver of Bigfoot, and he's on it. He must beat 8.69 seconds. A good run. Now, qualifying is important because you draw a bye. That's one less run that you have to make if you're able to draw a bye in the first round of competition.
The first round of the monster truck elimination was marked by easy victories for 5 of the 11 super trucks competing. First, Bigfoot left an ailing Leadfoot in the dust.
It'll be Bigfoot going against Master of Disaster, Doug Spanion from Albany, Minnesota, driving the 1984 Chevrolet with the big block Chevy engine, 408 cubic inches, going against the #1 Ford in the country. But Bigfoot does not have a lock on this race at all. Bigfoot seems not to have the speed here at St. Paul that we've seen him have other races throughout the country. Rich Hoosier does not like to lose with Bigfoot, and Bob Chandler, his owner, is on hand, and the boss doesn't like to have his truck lose either. Going to be good heads-up competition. Here they go. And it was no easy ride for Bigfoot. Bigfoot wins it, but not an easy ride for Rich Hoosier. Rich Hoosier of Bigfoot, looked like you had some problems you went over in your first round.
Yeah, it got crooked on me. The rear steering got crooked, and I wasn't sure if it was just a switch or nothing. But what happened was the steering cylinder on the rear axle busted loose, so I had no rear steering, so it was kind of going crooked. But it's fixable. I can block off that one. We got another cylinder on there. It'll steer a little bit slower, but it'll still work.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, Rich Hoosier out of St. Louis, Missouri with Bigfoot. It'll be Bigfoot and Master Disaster in one semifinal, and King Kong 3 and Gravedigger in the other one. This is going to go right down to the wire. This is anybody's ball game yet. As we've mentioned before, Bigfoot's somewhat of a pre-race favorite, but now he's getting worried with Gravedigger in that other semifinal heat. Master of Disaster has nothing to lose and everything to gain. Stan Burton on the starting line, Mike Snyder on the finish line. The switch is in his hand, ready to go from red to green. Chevy versus Ford. It was a close one. Bigfoot wins it. Bigfoot wins it. Master Disaster getting over on the right-hand side of the cars. And some of the guys have had trouble keeping the trucks going down the middle of the cars. So Bigfoot will be in the finals this afternoon. All right, we get ready for the finals now. Here are the monster truck races. Bigfoot with a Ford engine under the hood. He's Ford all the way, but King Kong running a Chevy engine under that 1986 orange Ford body. Anybody's ball game. The crowd gets ready for the finals here this afternoon. Here we go. The green light is out, and King Kong 3 is on for it. Here goes Bigfoot. Here goes King Kong, and King Kong is going to win it. King Kong is going to win it. King Kong beats the legendary Bigfoot.
McDonald's is announcing today its sponsorship of Bigfoot 4x4 Incorporated. We've had a history within McDonald's of sponsorship of many sports that reach a youth and all-family audience. We're excited today to announce to you that we're sponsoring the Bigfoot 4x4 Incorporated organization that indeed reaches that audience in a very new and exciting way for McDonald's.
We are really excited with this McDonald association with Bigfoot. We have tried to produce a very family-type image with our trucks over the years, and to be associated with McDonald's, who is a family-oriented food chain, it's just very proud for myself and for my wife, Marilyn, and for all of the Bigfoot crew.
The Monster Mania in Atlanta began earlier tonight with time trials to determine pairings in the elimination. Stomper came off the line hard, but had engine problems and is out of the running. That leaves the competition wide open for the race to the top.
A real battle developing right here between Dennis Anderson, who just doesn't back off for anybody. He's going to be going against the legend Bigfoot, driven by Jim Kramer. This is going to be one battle to watch. This is it. Oh, I'll tell you, the fans here coming to the feet now in Atlanta. This could be the battle of the evening. Kramer against Dennis Anderson. No! Dennis Anderson. Dennis Anderson losing. Here comes Bigfoot. Oh, look at him come. Bigfoot the inside lane. Dennis Anderson the outside lane. Here he comes. There he comes. Dennis Anderson. Dennis Anderson. Unbelievable. Oh, wow. Jim Kramer and Bigfoot wins it. What many people consider the #1 monster truck driver in the country today, Jim Kramer and Bigfoot. And Jim, as you come down, It was quite a wild start. What happened?
Well, I got a good start, and I charged hard to the corner, and I had to look over and saw him in my lane, and I knew he had gotten disqualified, so I kind of cut back a little bit. But that's wheel-to-wheel racing. You know, you got side by side, you got excitement that causes you to run harder. And the old Gravedigger, he'll never back off. You know, I know that. That's why I can't either.
The fans love you here in Atlanta. Good luck as you continue on.
It's great being in Atlanta here with the McDonald's and Ford, and I just really appreciate being here. Thank you.
All right, Jim Kramer continues on. He may be in the finals. All right, Crimson Crusher is taking the place of Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong broke. He cannot come back. So Crimson Crusher is going to run against Bigfoot. Bigfoot against Crimson Crusher. Then it'll be Mad Dog against Casper. We are down to 4. We're down to the semifinals. Here they come. Bigfoot is going against the Crimson Crusher. And look at this. Bigfoot against the Crimson Crusher, turning it loose. Here they come. Well, the Crimson Crusher sort of came in as a substitute tonight, and he certainly liked that position. But he really had a tough road to hoe going against Bigfoot. And when you go against Bigfoot, boy, you better have it all planned out just right. The Crimson Crusher was on the outside lane, and that is the slow lane. He comes up second, but he'll finish very strong here near the finals in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. The most unusual competition that I've ever seen in monster truck racing will pit the Toyota with the Chevrolet engine, Dale Harris from Pearl, Mississippi, going against Bigfoot, driven by Jim Kramer. Actually, on paper, you'd say that Bigfoot should have the best shot to win. But remember, as he said earlier in the interview, the Lord is on his side. Dale Harris is not going to back out of the throttle one bit. This ought to be a wild and woolly finish. Let's go to the action right now. Get your cameras out. This is the finals. Bigfoot against Casper. Here we go. Oh, look at him go. Dale Harris. Dale Harris, here he comes. Bigfoot. Oh, Bigfoot almost upset. Dale Harris coming around the bow. Dale Harris and Bigfoot is going to win it. Bigfoot is going to win it. Oh, wow. Unbelievable. Crazy. And here comes what many consider the #1 monster truck driver in the world today, ladies and gentlemen, Bigfoot Jim Kramer. You know, Jim, first off, we want to say congratulations. I've seen you win a lot of monster truck races, but here again, this was no easy task in Atlanta.
You got the TNT monster truck racing circuit. The toughest people were here tonight. It means a lot to me to be able to compete with competitors like I had tonight. All very fine trucks. It's great when you win one like this. Just great.
All right, now as you came down the third base line, it was pretty close, but then you had things in order when Dale Harris hit the wall.
I didn't even know Dale hit the wall. If he was anywhere on the track, I know he'd be right with me or behind me, so I couldn't even take the time to look.
Well, we've been here in one of the world's greatest stadiums, ladies and gentlemen. It hasn't been baseball, and it hasn't been football. It's been monster truck competition.
And here is our final first round of competition. This is what a lot of fans come to see. Rich Hoosier of St. Louis, Missouri, driving Bigfoot 4.
Well, Rich is driving Bob Chandler's truck. Of course, the name Bigfoot's synonymous with the original monster truck. There are a number of these vehicles on the tour. This is the #4 vehicle. And who does he go up against? None other than one of the old pros himself, Scott Stevens out of Texas, the driver of King Crunch.
Now, Bigfoot qualified second tonight, while King Crunch was 7th in qualifying, so the edge, you would think, would be to Bigfoot. As we get ready for the lights to go off, you see the red lights on the screen. Now they're green, and Bigfoot is out of there very, very fast.
What a hole shot. Now, Stevens trying to come back on his throw. Okay, Stevens trying to dial a horsepower in on the Chevrolet on the crowd side. Bigfoot trying to stay on top of it, Richard.
And it's Bigfoot that is going to take the win. Rich Hoosier, the winner out of St. Louis, Missouri. He got that home shot, and he was off and running, but King Crunch came back strong. So your winner, Bigfoot 4, Rich Hoosier, and we're going to go down trackside as Army Armstrong is standing in front of the beautiful machine of Bigfoot with Rich Hoosier.
Rick Hoosier driving Bob Chandler's points leading monster truck that goes by the name of Bigfoot. You advanced with an 11:09, but it looked like you fellas were taking a beating up in there.
Yeah, these cars are getting pretty smashed down. It makes it a little bit rougher, so you just have to go over them a little bit faster each time, and that way it makes it a little smoother ride.
Trying to fly over is what you're telling me.
Yeah, try to miss them.
Well, I tell you real quick, I noticed while we have you here, some of the safety equipment real quick. I noticed the single-layer Nomex jacket. You got the bell helmet. What's this item right here?
The neck collar I had made up specially for myself to fit. It's a little bit higher in the back to give more support back here against your neck to keep the protection there.
Okay, and what do you have under your arm here?
The arm pad I use for a lot of times when I'll hang out the truck, so that'll keep my arm protected because I used to get bruised up under my arm from the door.
Real good. Well, Rick Hoosier advances, ladies and gentlemen. The next time you watch a monster truck race, watch the abuse these gentlemen take.
We are ready for our last final quarter-round matchup. Bigfoot against Just Showing Off, and Army. Just Showing Off got here by having a fast time.
He was a loser in the first round, but he was a quick loser. That'll bring him back to go against none other than the original monster truck, Bigfoot. Halfaker, Richard, will not be intimidated. He's in a bad lane. It's going to be a crapshoot. He's got to go after him with all the gusto he can.
All right, we are waiting for the green. As green is out, it's an even start for both of them. Bigfoot now gaining a little bit of advantage, jumping over.
Halfaker looks like he's starting to work his way back. Bigfoot's in trouble. Halfaker suddenly jumping door on him and goes over the finish line, Richard.
Wait a minute, what happened to Halfaker? You saw the right rear tire get squarely on it. Something wrong with his machine also.
All the monster truck action actually started earlier today during Bigfoot's qualifying run. Rick Hoosier, the driver, and you talk about a tense moment. Take a look at this. Bigfoot, the Bob Chandler creation, the most famous monster truck of them all. In fact, the one that really started all the excitement. Here's our onboard camera, and you're about to go for a ride. Oh! Almost tipped over 5 tons of truck, Paul Page.
Yeah, but with a skillful bit of driving, he got the thing back on its 4 feet and came down to complete the other half of the course. Bigfoot, really a showpiece for the people here at the Astrodome. When the run was complete, Steve Evans talked with Rich Hoosier.
I don't know what it looked like from your vantage point, but I thought that truck maybe was going over.
Yeah, that corner, I wasn't thinking with all the sand out here. I thought I was being able to spin it around real quick and hit that hill, but it really grabs tight. And when it did, and it started to go over, the only thing I could do is I turned the tires to the right and nailed it, and that was pull me out. Then to keep from going out of bounds, I had to stop and back up so I could finish the race so I could still qualify.
Is that frightening?
Just a little bit, but not too bad.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
But right now it's time for Bigfoot as monster truck action continues. And Bigfoot will be up against one of the better monster trucks in the country, Paul, Stomper.
Stomper is a great-looking Chevrolet, Steve, driven by a couple of folks. Gail Pepper drives sometimes. Now it's being driven by Mike Witt. And, of course, he faces the challenge of Bigfoot, driven by Rich Hoosier. Now, these monster trucks have some very sophisticated safety equipment on board.
The Monster Truck Racing Association has just recently instituted some interesting new safety regulations regarding the driver and the cockpit. Let's take a look at the interior of the famed Bigfoot. First of all, roll bars are now mandatory in all trucks. 4-point mounted, 1/8 of an inch wall thickness, and heavily padded where needed. Also, the driver, Rick Hoosier, must have a substantial kill switch, not just some kind of a little toggle switch, but something he can get a hold of. And here in Bigfoot, it's mounted in the dash. And Rick pushes this in if he wants to kill the engine instantly rather than pulling it. It's always easier to push something than it is to try to grab it and pull it. Now, experimental here today on Bigfoot is a remote control kill operation. Okay, you see the antenna on this box attached to the roll cage? One of Rick's crew people has a little remote control like you change channels with on the TV. Well, if Rick should become unconscious or incapacitated for whatever reason, they just push a button, the truck just stops instantly right in its tracks. Now, all of the drivers will be wearing flame retardant clothing. That wasn't required before, suggested but not required. The blood type is also ID'd there on the suit. Now, as far as the helmet is concerned, it must be a Snell-approved helmet, just like you'd find in any other form of professional motorsports. Now, Rick also likes to wear this pad on his arm because he hangs out the window so much that his arm is getting a big bruise on it, and Bob Chandler, the owner, said he was also denting up the door. So you'll see that on this particular driver. And he also, you will find a neck collar. Everyone is using these, and it really has improved their neck as far as the next morning is concerned. They're not all stiff and sore. Now, also, they must always have a halon fire extinguisher very handy to the driver. In Bigfoot, it attaches to a bracket just to the left of the seat. There are now competition-style lap belts in all of these trucks. And all in all, the drivers, the crews, the associations are really going forward as far as safety is concerned with these vehicles as they become faster and more competitive.
You're talking some serious sophistication in the monster trucks. Round number 2, that's Bigfoot on the near side, Stomper on the far side as they await the green flag. Bigfoot gets the rollout.
Oh, yeah, a hole shot by Rich Hooser, and now you're on board Stomper. Look at all the flash bulbs going off in the Astrodome, and probably through that windshield, you're going to, yeah, there's Bigfoot off in the lead, having already made that turn.
Well, Stomper's got his hands full, and look at Bigfoot. Flags flying at the back as Stomper makes the turn now, tries to get up over the moguls. Bigfoot wins it, and you can see out the front of Stomper definitely some problems. They've slowed down substantially as he comes over those crushed cars. Little horizon, little grandstand, a little of everything out the front of Stomper. One thing for sure, Stomper comes in second place. Bigfoot wins the round. Bigfoot ready to face Southern Storm. Robbie Giles, the driver of this machine, and this is to determine who will go into the final round against Bennett, Clark, and Clydesdale.
Well, you know, no truck in competition here tonight has more power or as much power as Bigfoot does with that 460 cubic inch supercharged Ford motor. But if Rich Hooser doesn't use all that power correctly, Paul, it can be a burden to him, actually. He can't use too much of it in certain parts of the course. He can sure use it all right here, though. Look at Bigfoot out-accelerate the competition and fairly leap over those cars. Here is the critical part. As we've seen before, Hooser, a perfect turn.
Bigfoot makes the turn back, now screams for the finish line, almost unchallenged, another jump up into the air, and Bigfoot wins it. Bigfoot wins over Southern Storm. Southern Storm still completing the course, and Bigfoot will go into the final round against Clydesdale.
Well, Rich Hooser there, Paul, that was just a perfect example as to how to drive a monster truck. There's been a lot of stick and ball games in the Astrodome where the crowd left early, but not tonight at the TNT Red Man Super Nationals. Not with the popularity of monster truck racing, particularly Bigfoot. The crowd loves that truck, and I'll tell you what, they're starting to take a liking to Clydesdale, Paul Page.
Bennett Clark sits high in the air in the Clydesdale, watching the starter, green flag in hand. Both machines are ready to go. This is the final round. Bigfoot with the white flags at the back of that truck.
Rich Hooser sits at idle, waiting for the flash of green on the starting line, and he gets it. Immediately, the awesome power of Bigfoot is apparent. Oh, look at the leap. It's a wonder Bigfoot doesn't get fallen arches out of deals like that. Now, I don't know if that was intentional or if it was a lucky bounce, but Rich got a little bit sideways, and actually it enabled him, Paul, to make the turn a bit better. Clydesdale falling behind. Only one more giant leap to go. It is Bigfoot, the champion in the Astrodome.
Bigfoot takes the win. Rich Hooser is the champion here tonight, and it really was, let's give him credit, I think it was a skillful piece of driving. Let's look at Bennett Clark. Finally just motors away, coming over that last mogul. Now watch this. Look how high he yanks this machine up into the air. 15 feet at least. And then as he comes down, he gives the machine a little twist that takes a turn and gets him set up so that he can make the turn at the end of the course. I think that's a planned maneuver. I think it shows the kind of skill that he has. And with that skill, Rich Hooser wins here in the Astrodome, and the crowd loves to see Bigfoot win.
Congratulations, great job.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a good run. We got a lot more air to keep putting that dirt up a little bit higher in them cars, and I think the people like the show a little bit better.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, it was deafening in here. But, you know, as good as Bob Chandler's Bigfoot trucks are, and there's a number of them, as good of drivers as you guys all are, there's some competition coming on now.
Oh, yeah, there is. And the only thing that we got to hope for is our skill at driving. We've been doing it pretty long, and we got a lot of practice in it. So hopefully if a truck has a little bit more horsepower than us, we can outdrive them.
Again, great job, great show. Just thrilling.
Thank you.
All right, there's your champion tonight.
We're in our final round of competition for round number one. You think of monster trucks, you think of Bigfoot. He is up against King Crunch.
King Crunch out of Texas has been struggling all week long. He flipped the truck last week. He's trying to pull it back in. He has one chance. That's to keep Hoosier on the outside. But Rich Hoosier looks like he's going to be coming around. Has tremendous amount of ground speed, Richard. Hoosier looks to be, look at the mile-an-hour difference between a Ford and a Chevrolet.
Whoa, Rich Hoosier up and over and builds a whopping lead now on King Crunch and Scott Stevens. As a matter of fact, King Crunch has pretty well shut things down going into turn two, but Rich Hoosier is on a roll there in Bigfoot as he comes up over the final set of cars to jump. It's going to be an easy win for Rich Hoosier and Bigfoot. And there you see a flash fire from underneath Bigfoot. Just a flash fire there from underneath the hood of Bigfoot, and that's King Crunch. He is going to try to finish this race. King Crunch and Scott Stevens, the loser. Wait a minute, Bigfoot is on fire again. Bigfoot is flaming underneath the motor. Army Armstrong running down to yell up at Rich Hoosier. Hoosier jumps out of the cab, is going to run around to find out what the problem is. The fire appears to be out. No, it's still flaming. Safety officials on the scene with Rich Hoosier. Well, this might put a damper on his competition later. Let's go down to Army.
Believe me, you put a lot of fear in a lot of people here. Tremendous fire in the vehicle right as you ran across the finish line, Rich.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. It was running real good until I got to the last time over the cars, and all of a sudden a bunch of smoke started coming up into the cab. I really wasn't sure exactly what it was. It could have been just a little oil in the header. And when we come around here, it was on fire, so we think maybe the transmission got a little hot and put some oil out on the header.
You're going to be able to come back in the next round.
Yeah, we're going to pull over the pits, check everything out, make sure it's all okay.
First round.
Bigfoot, one of the Mountain Motors vehicles. Rich Hoosier doing a driving known as a Charger. On the inside, Moore, who advances by virtue of having quick round as a loser in the first round of eliminations. He's running him an awfully good race. Hoosier's got his hand full with no problem.
Yeah, looks like No Problem is having no problems, or is he? Wait a minute. No Problem, and John Moore is backing off the throttle.
Moore backed off the throttle. Hoosier grabbed a handful, got a lot of air, and it looks like some blue smoke starting to come out from underneath Bigfoot, Richard.
All right, Bigfoot, of course, had a fire earlier in his first round of competition. Maybe a little bit of problem there. We'll have to find out. But Rich Hoosier is going to advance to the semifinal round as he is up and over the final set of cars. Rick Hoosier, your winner in Bigfoot. But is there a problem with that machine? We're going to have to go down and talk to Rich about that. Meanwhile, it's No Problem and John Moore easing across the final set of cars. Rich Hoosier and Bigfoot, your winner. Let's go to Army.
I'm going a lot faster on that far side over there, causing all the oil and the oil pan to get over on that side of the motor, which is coming out the breather on that side and splashing all over. We shoved a rag down in there so it still breathes, had to soak up some of the oil, but it seems like it's a little bit more still coming out.
I'll tell you what, the Battle of the Monster Trucks is definitely living up to its name tonight, Rich.
Yeah, it's getting tough out here tonight. It's a long track, gives you a lot of time to catch up, and a lot of time for problems, too.
Ready for the other semifinal, Bigfoot and Stomper 1.
Chevrolet versus Ford. This one alone is worth the price of admission as Stomper trying to hold off Rich Hoosier. Mike Witt on the inside, Hoosier on the outside, side by side as they approach the first turn. It's going to be a war. Bigfoot starts to come on him.
Up, 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 both of them. Look out for Mike Witt. He has flipped it. Mike Witt has flipped Stomper 1 and a Chevrolet. The safety people running over right now to him. Smoke coming from the machine. Army Armstrong has run down there now to check on his condition. Mike Witt at Stomper 1 probably could have won this race in that Chevrolet. He is out of it now. He is out of the car. Look on the replay how high he went up. Bounced down right onto the nose. Flipped over on the driver's side. Mike Witt is all right, unbelievably, but this means Bigfoot has won it, and really it was a lucky win because he had a flat tire, which meant that Stomper 1 probably could have won this race. Back in Louisville, Kentucky, and this is what the fans have been waiting for, Army. It is the championship round. Awesome Kong against who else but Bigfoot.
No love lost between these fellas. Steve Dane wants to put Rich Hoosier away. They come out side by side. Dane's working the inside. Hoosier's going to have to go way, way around. Dane drops out on that inside. Is working good for him, Richard. He looks like he might be able to hold him off as they get ready to go over the first jump.
Here comes Steve Dane and Awesome Kong. He's going to be the first up and over. Then here comes Rich Hoosier and Bigfoot.
Hoosier gets a lot of air, but immediately the board sounds a little bit different.
And he has shut it down. Something wrong with Bigfoot. He is out of it. Rich Hoosier has shut Bigfoot down. That means your winner, the champion in Louisville tonight, is going to be Steve Dane and Awesome Kong.
Dane motors across the final jump to take a well-deserved win. This kid has been pumped up. He wanted to win it tonight, and it looks like he's going to do it.
Oh, you can tell how happy Steve Dane is, popping out from the cab, waving to the crowd. There he is, your champion tonight, Awesome Kong and Steve Dane over Bigfoot and Rich Hoosier. We just received word that Rich broke the throttle linkage. Back in Louisville, Kentucky, semifinal round of competition underway, but really no competition, Army, as Awesome Kong and Bigfoot were supposed to go at it. Awesome Kong broke at the start line.
Boy, a tough break. The young kid out of Texas trying to make a name for himself. The transmission just finally gave away. With the 1,000 horsepower engine and 20,000 pounds of weight, something had to give. He'll be back another day.
So your winner, Rich Hoosier, in Bigfoot 4, he moves into the championship round.
Now, Rich, at the beginning of the year, you guys jumped way out on the competitors. We're at half season now, and it looks like they're starting to close back in on you fellas.
Yeah, they're closing in. The competition's getting tough. These guys are coming out here with a little bit more than just putting on a show. They're building up their motors, and they're realizing what they have to do to their trucks to make them last through these courses we've been running through.
You as a driver, what are you looking for? The Renegade circuit, the TNT people are putting together different types of courses. You got straight courses, you got U-turn courses, and then tonight in the competition or this afternoon, you're going to be going on a figure-8 course. How do you adjust your truck there?
Well, it's kind of hard because each of them is different. A lot of guys will run a straight axle on the rear. Of course, we run the rear steering all the time, and it makes it a little bit stronger for your straight courses. But then when you come to somewhere you need the turns and you need that rear steering, the guys with the straight axles won't do as well.
Okay, now what are you going to do? You're talking about keeping your truck on top of this thing. You are the points leader. You know they're closing in. We're at half season. What are you and your crew going to do in order to stay out in front of this thing?
Well, we just keep trying as hard as we can, and hopefully we can just keep on winning. These other guys are coming up real fast, but I still got a little bit of a lead on them, and if I can still get first or even second, even if you get second, you're still up there good on points.
Rich Hoosier teamed up with the Bigfoot operation to Bob Chandler. They're number one. The question is, can they stay there?
Well, the question right now, Army, in Louisville, Kentucky at the Louisville Motor Speedway is, can he be number one at the finish line here? The championship battle between Bigfoot and Rich Hoosier and Paul Huffaker, and just showing off. There you see the track officials saying they're lined up and ready to go.
Huffaker wants Hoosier. This kid's trying to make a name for himself. We told you the story about him. He started at the bottom. Now you can't get any higher than this. You're going for the number one, running the number one truck. Huffaker will try to put a hole shot on him, and he does. What a hole shot. Hoosier out a little bit late. Huffaker jumps to the inside trying to hold Bigfoot on that left hip. But believe it or not, that's exactly where Rich Hoosier wants to be, because he makes a wide turn as he closes in on the jump. Keep an eye out for Bigfoot. I believe he's coming after him, Richard.
Here comes Bigfoot, up and over, both of them a wild ride, just showing off in Bigfoot. The two Fords battling for the championship in Louisville. Right now, Rich Hoosier has the advantage as they head for the final jump.
Huffaker works the outside. You notice Hoosier actually looks over his right shoulder to see where Huffaker is. He's coming across to put another win on the Renegade Tour under his belt.
So there's your champion. It is Rich Hoosier. The crowd loves Bigfoot wherever he runs. Rich Hoosier out of St. Louis, Missouri, crowned the king in Louisville this afternoon. Paul Huffaker, and just showing off his second. You see him popping the hood on that big Ford motor, getting some air. Army Armstrong is down with Rich Hoosier to describe the winning run.
Well, and it's been tough. We've had to work hard this weekend. A lot of good competition coming out these days, and makes us just have to run even harder.
Say, you and the crew have been thrashing all weekend long, keeping everything going.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank everybody that helped, Don and Bob and George and Harold from down in Nashville, and a bunch of great guys, and there's a lot of help.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, monster truck racing at its best.
And here at the brand new Louisville Motor Speedway, the track is going to be tough. It's a figure-8 track, which means it's a long track.
It's a long track. You have to make left turns, right turns. As a matter of fact, the track is so demanding, we lost 2 vehicles trying to qualify for this event.
We're going to be back to get the competition underway in just a moment. From Louisville, Kentucky, as the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge begins round 1.
Back in Louisville, Kentucky, Richard Leake, along with Army Armstrong, the capacity crowd loving every minute of this monster truck competition. Quarterfinal round action to begin now. Bigfoot 4 with Rich Hoosier, your fastest qualifier, up against Casper of Dale Harris, who was the fastest loser in round 1.
Harris advances by virtue of being a quick loser in round 1. Rich Hoosier a little disadvantaged. He qualified quick, but this is the first time today, Richard. He's actually had to pair up with somebody, and right now, Dale Harris is making Bigfoot. Rich Hoosier worked for it. Hoosier has to go high to make the approach to the jump. A little bit of a lead for Casper, but Bigfoot's coming back on him.
These guys are putting on a wild door-to-door battle right now, the Ford and Bigfoot. Rich Hoosier with the advantage over Casper and Dale Harris as Bigfoot is heading for the final jump.
A lot of chassis lean on Bigfoot. Harris keeps the pressure on. He's not going to give it to him. Rich is going to have to earn it.
Oh, look at Casper sky high. Take a wild ride down. Your winner's going to be Rich Hoosier and Bigfoot. The big Ford out of St. Louis, Missouri is going to move on. Meanwhile, what a great show from that gentleman, Dale Harris in Pearl, Mississippi, in the Casper machine. The crowd loving every minute of it. Meanwhile, Rich Hoosier's got smoke boiling out of Bigfoot. What would that be from?
Some of the problems they were experiencing previously was the oil was running to one side of the engine and was not letting it oil the other side of the engine. You notice the kidney belt that he's wearing. These drivers take such an abuse, Richard, that they actually have to wear the kidney belt that's made popular in motorcycle racing.
We're ready to bring to the line
Scott Stevens, King Crunch. He's, well, I call him the guy from Badlands, Texas. Actually, he's from Woodlands, Texas, and he's taken on your current national points leader, none other than Rich Hoosier out of St. Louis, Missouri. Rich is in, of course, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot currently your national point leader, as you said, but the man, Litzow, USA 1 Chevrolet, has won this round. Hoosier's under pressure. He needs to win it, too, and he just may not. Now, Stevens has some problem, and Bigfoot hangs on to that national point lead with a win.
Army, Scott Stevens got a tremendous hole shot on Bigfoot, but he started bouncing tremendously after he went over the first set of crunch cars, and that probably cost him the race.
Seems like the chassis is a little bit tight on the King Crunch vehicle out of Texas and need to loosen it up a little bit. Hoosier, meanwhile, he just powered on the other end.
2 out of 3 runs that USA 1 has made have been new track speed records. So normally you would think the pressure would be on the number 2 guy in the point standings. Not tonight. It is on the national points leader, Bigfoot. And look who is going up against Bigfoot right now. The number 2 guy with 2 track speed records tonight. USA 1 Army. It is a classic matchup. Number 1 and number 2 in the points. And Ford against Chevrolet.
Chevrolet working the inside with the USA 1 red, white, and blue colors. Comes out like a rocket. Bigfoot's got his work cut out for him. Litzow looking super on the inside. The True Value flags flying to the wind, Richard.
The pressure was on Bigfoot, and he couldn't hold up to it.
Bigfoot stayed after him, but it wasn't going to work. Litzow with the Chevrolet seems not to be denied this evening in Nashville, Tennessee.
I'll tell you what, this national points race is a dandy now as Rod Litzow on USA 1 is starting to dominate the circuit. He knocks off Bigfoot one more time and moves to the finals. And stronger and stronger with each and every event this year.
Well, Porter will be carrying the colors for the Chevrolet teams, but as you said a moment ago, Bob Chandler originated the monster truck craze with the blue Fords they call Bigfoot. They've been featured in television commercials on national motion pictures. Everybody knows who Bigfoot is, but right now Porter is trying to make a name for himself like the old-time gunfighters. You knock off Bigfoot, you can make a name for yourself, and we're back to racing, Richard.
And it doesn't look like Bigfoot's going to be knocked off this time as he gets a nice hole shot, and he is going to take the win in Nashville over Gary Porter. Another day, another time for Gary. Rich moves on into the competition with that big 460 cubic inch Ford motor.
Richard, look who's coming to the line now. Still advancing over the national points. Litzow is on a roll. Bigfoot knows it. Bigfoot knows each round you've got to do the same thing the Chevrolet did. He must win. Look who he draws. Rich Hoosier being Bigfoot going against Paul Huffaker. Litzow, Hoosier, and Huffaker, and a 3-way Donnybrook for these national points. This run can be very decisive towards the end of the year point standing.
Well, I'll tell you, Rich Hoosier may be losing some races recently to USA 1, but he is not going to give up easily. I expect to see him give it his all right now against Pablo Huffaker.
Believe me, Hoosier comes out. It's a good run. Hoosier trying to work the inside. He's not going to roll over for anybody. He advances. That's exactly what he needed to do. So the national points chase, points-wise, stay the same.
Rich Hoosier with the winner in Bigfoot. He is going to come back to face off against the Chevrolet of USA 1. And here is something that is a shocker to me. As they are coming to the line, it looks like Rod Litzow is going to be on the right side of the track. Now, he said earlier the left side was the best lane. What's going on here?
I tell you, it has you confused. Think what it has Rich Hoosier thinking right now. He thinks that Litzow's got something up his sleeve, and he just may have it. The Ford doesn't have a choice. He must go to the opposite lane, and Litzow sits on the inside with a big grin on his face, Richard, going to a whole new part of the track, working it right. He said he would not be there. That's not the case.
I don't know what the strategy is, Rod Litzow. It could backfire on him as they're off and rolling.
No, Litzow comes out like a rocket. Look at the chassis starts to unload. He lines it up. Final jump. Richard, the national championship point chase just tightened up a ton.
Rod Litzow, the winner with that powerful motor. Maybe Rich Hoosier's going to have to reevaluate putting a bigger engine in that Bigfoot Ford. Right now, Army is trackside, though, with your national points leader, Rich Hoosier.
Rich Hoosier picked up an odd lot single by virtue of having quick qualifying time tonight now. Lane choice, so important. You qualified out of the left lane, you come back and you make your run out of the right lane. What's the reason behind this?
Well, Army, I wanted to check the lane out to see actually which one is going to be better for myself. It's kind of hard to tell right now. I made a real clean run on that left lane, and this one here kind of bounced me around a little bit, so not really sure what I'm going to do. I might go back and try that left lane tonight.
So Bigfoot, quick qualifying time, a little bit of advantage right now. He doesn't know where to put that advantage, left or right.
Final round competition coming up next.
And to kick it all off, it's going to be the Scott Stevens machine, King Crunch, taking on the ultimate in monster truck racing thus far this year, the national points leader, that is Rich Hoosier in the Bigfoot 4.
I tell you, Scott Stevens was grinning ear to ear, and I don't blame him. He's had a terrible, terrible summer as far as luck goes. He's flipped end over end in Colorado, tried to get the truck back together. He's got the right idea. He's got the right combination. He just can't get it to drop at the right time for him. He represents Chevrolet in this run. Of course, for all the Ford fans, we love Bigfoot, they're saying. They're going to be coming off that left lane. A good job by the Chevrolet. The Ford's going to have to come from behind. Hoosier has his work cut out for him. The track conditions could dictate a winner. Richard, what does it look like on your end?
It looks like another heck of a finish here in Charleston, West Virginia. The winner is going to be Rich Hoosier, doing what he's done so many times this year, putting on a late charge to take the win. Rich Hoosier and Bigfoot moves on. King Crunch goes to the pits. All right, so we are all set, and it's going to be a Chevrolet versus Ford semifinal round. The crowd anticipating this battle as we are set to go with Rich Hoosier, your national champion points leader, out of St. Louis, Missouri, and Bigfoot 4 against Gary Porter from Wadesboro, North Carolina, and Carolina Crusher.
Another Chevrolet Ford battle. Looks like Bigfoot, the initial advantage went to him. Hoosier looks to be stretching it out, but Porter trying to pull it back, Richard.
Porter coming out strong, but he goes off the track there as he comes across the second set of Crunch cars. That means Hoosier will advance to the championship round. Rich Hoosier with another classic battle, this time against Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher. And you know, if it hadn't been for Porter going off the track, he might have had a shot at knocking off your national points leader. The capacity crowd is waiting for exactly what we are. The final round, the monster mash-off, the crowning of the champion, and tonight it's what they all want. Rich Hoosier in the Bigfoot Ford going up against Rod Litzow in the USA 1 Chevrolet and Army. These two guys are not only battling for the points championship right now, they have got an intense rivalry between them.
You know, they're very friendly before they get in those vehicles, but as soon as they strap in, believe me, one of them is representing the Ford camp. That'll be Hoosier representing Bob Chandler's operation, currently on top of the monster truck pile. But out of the coal country, Everett Jasmer has teamed up with Litzow to put a late season charge on to put Chevrolet on top of the monster truck pile. They can really close the gap right here. Like I say, away from the trucks, they're best of friends, but right now, you're looking at a street fight. First one that can get the other one's throat on this run is going to do it. This is what it's all about. Winner or loser, Chevrolet or Ford, side by side. The crowd really getting into it. We're going back topside for you to give all the action, Rich.
Well, besides the Ford-Chevy battle, you got a battle of prides. The pride of Rich Hoosier, the current national points leader, against the pride of the rising star Rod Litzow out of Spring Lake, Minnesota, waiting for the green light to fall, and does they're off.
Hoosier had to put a whole shot on him. He did exactly what he had to do. Hoosier working the right lane to perfection, a little bit out of shape as a USA 1. Hoosier keeping a 4 straight. Ford looks like to take the win, Richard.
It is Rich Hoosier as Rod Litzow, a little bit of problem there. Got a little squirrely on the course. That has cost him the win. Your champion again, the Ford of Rich Hoosier in the Bigfoot machine. The crowd absolutely loving it, especially the Ford fans. But then again, the Chevrolet fans have nothing to be ashamed of as you see Rod Litzow about ready to jump out of that monster Chevrolet USA 1. Let's go trackside with Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a final. These fellas put on a super job. The temperature all afternoon, about 110 degrees. It didn't seem to affect you guys at all. Congratulations, Rich Hoosier, on a well-deserved win.
Thank you very much, Army. Ryan, it was a great run. After last night, I had to put my foot in it all the way, and that's what I did.
Well, coming up next in competition, Rich Hoosier bids us farewell tonight in Bigfoot, taking on Mike Witt and Stomper. Three things are on Mike's mind. The last time these two met, Mike flipped the truck. He's had bad luck mechanically lately, and Mike recently just got married, Army.
Well, Rich, there's a fourth thing on his mind, too. He wants to be the last man to beat Rich Hoosier. He's not going to be that man.
Well, Rich Hoosier wins it in Bigfoot. He advances. Mike Witt and Stomper 1 actually lost this race at the starting line. Now for a couple of Fords battling head-to-head. Rich Hoosier, Bigfoot, Pablo Huffaker, and just showing off.
Remember the last event for Hoosier? Huffaker wants to be the last guy to get a piece of the Bigfoot truck. Richard, look at that finish.
We cannot even call it topside. It was so close. Pablo Huffaker, Rich Hoosier, Bigfoot, and just showing off on a replay here. Guys, if you'll stop it for us here at the finish line, it looks like Rich Hoosier is the apparent winner in Bigfoot, but that is unconfirmed by track officials. Army's got both Pablo and Rich trackside right now.
when he gets that close, do y'all have any idea, or you fellas so busy driving you don't really know?
No, you're watching where you're going, especially in these close quarters, so you don't have time to look at the guy next to you.
Pablo, you've got this rascal running. You're looking for a new sponsor to go on tour with next year. I tell you what, you're impressing a whole lot of people this year.
I just hope I don't tear anything up tonight. So far, it's doing all right.
Once again, we're waiting for the track crew to send down the information. Butch Krager indicates Bigfoot's going to take the win. Okay, so congratulations, Rich. Staying alive. Staying alive is Bigfoot by 6/100ths of a second.
Well, you know, tonight, Rich Hoosier, driver of Bigfoot, bids the sport farewell as he retires as an active driver. The sport has grown in leaps and bounds because of athletes like Rich, a professional, a class guy, and a winner. Army spoke with Rich earlier today and asked him if he is retiring.
Rich, is that true?
Yeah, it is, Army. I'm retiring from driving the monster trucks. It feels like I might want to go in and get doing something else, more of promotions or sponsorships, something like that, and maybe get into some PR, customer service type of a job, possibly with the monster trucks and with racing, because that's what I like, and I love doing this.
You know, as we travel across the country, millions and millions of people have developed a following for you. Is there anything, if you could talk one-on-one to them, you'd like to say to those people right now?
Main thing is just thanks for everything. It's like I've had the best time of my life doing this, and all the kids and stuff, and giving autographs, and all the people just recognize me on the street. You know, you feel like a big star when mainly it's the truck, but the man behind the wheel has a lot to do with it.
Speaking of the man behind the wheel, is there any possibility you might be coming back into the sport in the future?
Yeah, you never know. Like I said, well, I'll be turning 30 this year, and kind of maybe, you know, how long can you do this? Because you take a lot of abuse in these trucks. And, of course, my mom wants me to settle down and get married. But you never know. You know, I might get back into it next year, maybe this year, maybe a year from now. It's hard to tell. I enjoy it so much. It's going to be hard to just break away from it.
So we're going to miss Rich Hoosier. I'm going to miss the great sunglasses he always wears. A real fashion statement, Rich Hoosier. Is he going to win his final battle? This one against Awesome Kong and Steve Dane.
Kong comes out. Rich Hoosier is no longer in the sport of monster truck. Steve Dane was the last man to put Rich away in the Bigfoot truck. An era actually ended right there on that run, Richard.
Rich Hoosier bids the fans farewell. He loses to the hottest kid on the circuit, Steve Dane and Awesome Kong. The competition is top flight tonight as we get ready for round one action. And coming out first, of course, is going to be Jim Kramer and Bigfoot. He is a legendary figure in monster truck racing as he takes on Bob Brain and Wild Hare out of Jefferson City, Missouri.
Richard, it's kind of interesting. Both of these young men out of the state of Missouri, one in a Chevrolet, trying to make a name for himself, one in a Ford that has made a great name for himself, carrying the colors of Bigfoot. Kramer will advance with the blue Ford.
Jim Kramer and Bigfoot is trying to regain lost honor tonight in Montgomery. The last time we saw Bigfoot, he lost the national championship to USA 1. And tonight's a big night for Jim Kramer, I would think. It's going to be Jim Kramer and Bigfoot out for regained pride tonight. Regain lost pride, I might say, taking on John Moore, no problem. John is back because he was the second fastest loser from the first round of action.
So, Richard, a lot of changes taking place at this time of the year. For example, Kramer is really leaning on this Ford. They're going to be building a new truck for next year, so will no problem. So everybody's learning. They're trying to get dialed in for 89.
Well, they're fine-tuning the trucks, but they're racing hard. Jim Kramer, the winner in Bigfoot. Let's go trackside.
Jim Kramer probably has more time behind the wheel of a monster truck than I would say anybody in the country. Jim, be running on all kind of tracks. This track tonight seems to be causing a whole lot of problems for these fellas. What's causing it?
Well, if you notice, the ramp was a little bit too steep on the inclination there, and the track crew was sharp enough to come out and make it a little bit less steep. It gives a chance to get a little bit more speed and also keep the trucks down on the cars and to keep the trucks alive.
Can you put Bigfoot in that winner's circle tonight?
I'm sure going to try it. We got Steve Dane, of course, to come up against. We got Mad Dog coming back as fastest loser. We got a lot of good competition yet. I'm going to try my best.
For the semifinal round of competition, it is Bigfoot and Jim Kramer taking on Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher, an Army on the back of the Carolina Crusher machine. That Chevrolet is written. Have you driven over a Ford lately? He's got his chance now.
Richard, he's got his chance. He's got his work cut out for him. This Ford is bad to the bone with Jim Kramer doing a driving look at the right lane. Ford leaps out for the win.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're going to pick on a Ford, that is not one to pick on. Bigfoot has won it. He moves to the finals. And that's exactly where Jim Kramer told us earlier he wanted to be. Let's go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Kramer's been here many times before, talking to the crew chief right now because he's going into the final. How did that run feel to you?
Real good. I'm just trying to practice making a nice steady run, which I know I'm going to need to beat Awesome.
So you're pretty well assured that you're going to be running Steve Dane in the final of this thing.
Well, you never can tell. You look at King Kong, he's been making just a real good run. It's nice and steady, and anything could happen there. I said Austin, maybe I shouldn't have, you know. It's going to be one of those orange trucks, and they're both going to be tough.
Which lane are you going to be coming out of?
The lane I've been in all night. I feel at home in it. I got fastest time, and I'm going to stick with it unless something changes very drastically.
All right, so Jim Kramer and Bigfoot has made it to the finals, and the crowd in Montgomery loves that. Army, are you ready for the showdown? It is the finals. Awesome Kong, the Chevrolet, against Bigfoot and the Ford.
Richard, you called it a showdown. That's exactly what it is. The kid out of Texas has never beaten Jim Kramer. He wants it bad. He's going after him. Kramer knows it. He's an old pro, but Kramer's got to hold off the kid out of Texas. Richard, I don't know. Look how close it is.
At the finish line, we cannot tell who won it. Watch on this replay, both of them come off side by side. Both, I guess you might say, Army got a hole shot. Bigfoot and Awesome Kong, I still can't say who won, as Steve Dane skied high and gave it his all trying to get this win. Let's go trackside in just a moment. Maybe, Army, you've got the officials down there. Maybe you can give us the winner of this final round in Montgomery.
Both drivers stepping out of their vehicles. Steve, you go over to congratulate Jim. Do you have any idea who won that race? From our viewpoint, we could not tell.
I was too busy thinking about stopping, Army. I really don't know.
Jim Kramer back into the truck. We just received word that Steve Dane was the official winner.
I've been running with Jim. I raced him so many times, I never had a chance to beat him. To me, he seemed unbeatable. You know, all the magazine stuff I read about him was true in Bigfoot. Finally, I did it one time. I gave it all. That truck ran all it was worth. It probably only lost by a couple hundredths, but a couple hundredths will do it, you know. And whenever you're running Steve Dane, well, you got to run hard. He runs hard.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, Bigfoot, a class act. We'll be following the rest of the tour. Back to you, Richard.
You know, Army, Dennis isn't the only one with bad luck, as we once again look at some taped highlights. This is Jim Kramer, Bigfoot. He goes out of the competition in qualifying.
He drew a stopper in a qualifying round, and halfway through, lifted an engine, completely destroyed the top half of the engine. The supercharger came off of the vehicle. They don't know exactly what caused that. It's kind of a freak incident. We were down at trackside when it happened. The safety crew was right on the scene. The crew member came over and actually picked up part of the supercharger to show us what had let go on it.
Now, is this an unusual occurrence then on this circuit?
The Ford engine runs a longer snout on the supercharger, the front of the blower that the belt sits over. You can see the crew member holding it there. What happened? The engine coughed. When it coughed, that belt kept turning and pulled the front of the supercharger right off.
John Breen and Mad Dog is going to face an awesome task here, Army, as he is taking on Bigfoot and the legendary Jim Kramer.
Kind of interesting, Richard. Both of these fellows out of the Show Me State of Missouri. Kramer runs out of Bob Chandler's operation at Hazelwood. Breen, he's out of Jeff City, Missouri. A small community, has a history for national championships, even at the high school sports level. But right now, we're talking pro monster truck racing, side-by-side, Chevrolet, Ford. Kramer trying to put the Mad Dog down. Look at the air. Kramer gets. What a shot. Kramer's working his way back, Richard.
Jim Kramer returns to the Hoosier Dome. He's been here the past couple of years and flipped over. He is going to try to avoid that tonight with a fine win over John Breen. To continue quarterfinal round competition, it's going to be no problem. The Ford Bronco of John Moore taking on Jim Kramer and Bigfoot. And Army, I understand that these two guys are working together to put new trucks together for 1989.
Now, Jim Kramer is doing a lot of research and development. John Moore, as you said, he's kind of the old pro of the tour, kind of the low buck guy on the tour. He's teamed up with Bigfoot. They're going to try to put Fords in that winner's circle next year.
Well, of course, Kramer, when you think monster truck and Bigfoot, you think of Kramer. It looks like an easy win for him.
Yeah, but John Moore, if you'll remember, Richard, the last couple of weeks has really started leaning on his equipment. I look for a Super 89 out of that young man out of Tennessee.
John Moore, 44 years old. Jim Kramer, 37. Two veterans on this Renegades TNT Monster Truck circuit. Watch for both of them to be back in later competition. Another guy that's going to be in thick of it for 89 is Jim Kramer. He's driven a monster truck longer than anybody, and he's got some new things coming for Bigfoot. Army spent time with him earlier.
Jim, the sport when it started to today, can you sum it up for us real quick?
Well, it's really progressing more quickly than I even thought. Just had a very slow beginning, of course. We used to just display the trucks and then just barely drive over cars, and now it's to an all-out racing, and it's just we're just scratching the surface in the racing field. I think we're going to see a lot more refined, more powerful trucks, and a lot faster speeds.
This year, a Chevrolet took the win. I know you and Bob Chandler are not going to sit still for that. What do we have down the road for the Bigfoot trucks as far as engineering and development?
Oh, we're doing a lot of engineering right now and some development of certain components to make that truck happen in the future. We've got 3 different designs. We don't know which one yet will best suit us, and that's going to take a little more R&D because we're going to try to take a giant leap forward and see what happens. So the truck we bring out is going to be something really different.
Well, Army, I'll tell you what, I cannot wait till our opening show of 1989, St. Paul, Minnesota, to see the new Bigfoot truck with Jim Kramer. He's taking on the Barbarian right now, and Jim Miller in the semifinals.
Miller comes out against Bigfoot, but look, Kramer, Richard, it looks like he actually flies this truck. He just has a soft touch about him, but he's going to the final.
Jim Kramer moves to the championship round, a place he knows very well. Last year, he was in the championship round. The year before the championship round, but he did not fare so well the past 2 years as we see a replay of this race against the Barbarian, and look at how much air he gets between him and the junk cars.
He not only gets a lot of air, he gets a lot of distance. Notice he does go high, but look how far out he goes. That's an indication of a tremendous amount of ground speed, Richard.
Well, I was talking about Jim Kramer not faring too well in 1986 and 87 in the Hoosier Dome in the finals. Army, I know you were here both times.
Kramer came out in the final. They knew they had the front wheel drive out. Now remember, front wheels on these trucks are so important because if you nose over, you can gas it and the front wheels will pull you out. Kramer, as the screen shows, he's to your left, going against a Texas toy. He came out real good. The truck started to bounce a little bit on him. The problem came when he tried to land. He gassed it right here. Look at the air. Now the front end noses over, but he has no power to pull it out. The front end's gone. Kramer nails it over 2 years in a row. This year he's trying to turn that luck around, Richard.
And Army, that has got to be in the back of his mind what's happened the past 2 years here, though.
I agree with you. Earlier this afternoon, he wouldn't say anything, but he kind of had a little grin on his face.
Well, all right, Army, here we go. Ford, Bigfoot, Chevrolet, USA 1, they're off and rolling.
Hole shot by the Bigfoot truck. Kramer's going to take a win, and Rod Litzow, a smart drive. Two-wheel drive only. He didn't tear up any equipment. We will see that battle again in 1989. I'll guarantee you, Richard.
All right, so Jim Kramer finishes 1988 on a winning note in the Hoosier Dome.
First of all, we're going to congratulate Jim Kramer on a super job of driving out there, Jim.
Well, it got really squirrely, and I saw shades of last year and the year before, and I thought, this can't happen to me again.
What he's talking about on this weekend for the last 2 years, he's been on his head. Next year, this is over. This is 1988. We wrap it up. We put a bow on it. But we're coming out in a little bit for 1989. Is Bigfoot going to be making any changes? We're still trying to pump you for some information here.
You'll see a Bigfoot out here with the drastic changes, I tell you. It'd be a lot lighter, a lot faster, a lot more motor, a lot more agile. And it's going to be something to see.
Okay, so actually we had 3 big stories tonight. Number 1, Steve Dane and Awesome Kong, his winning streak ended at 4 in a row. He broke in the quarterfinals. Story number 2, USA 1 got to the finals, but he got there limping to the starting line. He broke his front-wheel drive. He raced in the finals with only 2-wheel drive, and that brought the win to Bigfoot. So story number 3 is Jim Kramer and Bigfoot starting their big comeback for 1989. For Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Lake. We'll see you again on the tracks across America.